I was in a local shop probably maybe 3 months ago, and I was picking through some things that were mildly interesting to me, and then I found something that I thought, well, this is actually kind of neat. And I looked up, and the dealer behind the counter was watching me. And as soon as I put it down on the counter and started reaching for my wallet, they said, "You're going to do a video about that, aren't you?" And it's kind of interesting when you are a YouTuber. Sometimes maybe you think about things in a different way. I don't want to say that I'm being led astray from the path that I've laid for myself, but I do find myself looking at things that maybe I ordinarily wouldn't have. And that's what this video is about. We're going to talk about the 2025 United States 250th anniversary American Army Privy Marked Silver Eagle. Welcome. If you are new to the channel, my name is Dubsy. I want to thank you for being with me here today. Hopefully you'll go ahead and click on that subscription button, become part of this community. We're going to unbox this, as dramatic as that sounds. I'm just going to give you kind of my first impressions of it. I am a stacker of Silver Eagles, but I wouldn't say that I am a huge stacker of Silver Eagles. There are lots of other things out there that I'm kind of more passionate about, but I do have a fair share of them. And if you are one of my returning subscribers, how can you not compare and contrast this with the ever-popular and controversial 2024 flowing hair silver dollar? Because this is really kind of the beginning of this privy mark craziness that the United States Mint has gone into recently. Let's compare and contrast and let me see what you think about this. I begin my videos with a couple of definitions. I just wanted this to be kind of a short unboxing because it was maybe something that I wouldn't ordinarily have picked up. I found myself at an appointment way back in June, on June 13th. And I got a reminder that I had set for myself earlier that the United States Mint was going to begin taking orders for this 250th anniversary of the United States Army American Silver Eagle. I'm a big supporter of the United States. I feel that I'm a pretty strong patriot, and of course I am a fan of our armed services. So while I was sitting in this appointment looking at my phone and thinking, is this really something that you want to purchase? You know that you are not a huge stacker of Silver Eagles. The idea of privy marks, while it is interesting, there is something kind of engaging about the idea of a privy mark. And if you're not familiar, a privy mark is simply a graphic representation of information. That's breaking it down into its most basic concept. This is something that has been applied on coins, not entirely unlike a mint mark, but it's been put on coins for probably hundreds, if not 1,000 years or more. It probably goes back to a point when people probably couldn't read that well, but if you saw a symbol on a coin, and that generally represented the coiner, the mint master who was making it, or some additional information about it. I've given the examples before in several different videos that I've done, what is a privy mark, where we talked about things like these American flowing hair silver dollars. Again, I've got to put it in air quotes because they are not monetized. They are not technically dollars. But the United States Mint has used these kinds of symbols sporadically over the last 150 years, but they have really gained traction. I think the United States thinks that they have found, the United States Mint thinks that they have found a way to increase sales. And wouldn't you know it, I'm one of those examples. I am buying something that I probably ordinarily wouldn't have gotten. So, ordered back in June. They set a limit, the United States Mint set a limit on these, and they're making privy marked pieces pretty often now. We find ourselves looking down the barrel of several other more privy marks that are going to be coming out very shortly, and a few that have been released recently. They set a limit on these, a household limit, I believe, of one. And the mintage on this piece was a mintage limit of 100,000 and a product limit of 100,000. Now, compare and contrast that with the flowing hair piece. The Mint made different mintage estimates or quantities or limits on the flowing hair piece, and I think a lot of people are still kind of confused about what happened there. 75,000 was the mintage limit on the 2024 flowing hair piece, the silver version at least. Obviously, there's a gold piece as well. That's a whole other kettle of fish, and I'll put links to all of the videos that I've done about these pieces down below. 50,000 was the product limit. So we've already got kind of two different limits that the United States Mint has put on itself for the flowing hair dollar that came out earlier. And what's really interesting is the best information that we can seem to find at this point is that the Mint actually only released about 40,999. I've seen some conflicting numbers with that, but of course that doesn't even touch their production limit for this piece. And we'll stop and take a quick look at it if you're not familiar with it. It's supposed to be a representation of the 1794 flowing hair silver dollar that was released, obviously, 1794. So this is hundreds of years later. We've released this metal 230th anniversary. So what does it represent? What is this new piece? The United States Mint is releasing silver eagles with privy marks for the branches of our military. I think that is a noble thing to do. I think it's a nice thing to do, especially when we're talking about the 250th anniversary of the United States Army, right? Patriotic, that's a cool thing. So sitting in this appointment, thinking about it, this wasn't something that I was going to buy, but I went ahead and clicked on my saved information on the United States Mint's website, and it got me right through. There is a waiting room that the United States Mint has added to their website when they're getting ready to release something, so that you know that you're actually going through the process. It's kind of like being on hold, if you're old enough to remember being on hold back when phones had phone answering services or something very similar to that. They put you into an electronic waiting room, and then you can go through your order. I stepped right through the waiting room into the order line. I added one to my order of these 250th anniversary Army Eagles, and it immediately just brought it up and said, here you go. Here is your balance. Now, the kicker about this is that this is about the same price as the flowing hair piece was, about $105 plus shipping. But the mintage on the American Silver Eagle, about twice as much as the flowing hair piece. So part of me was thinking, is this going to be a scarcity? Is this a rarity? Is this worth picking up? It's kind of the first in a series, kind of. If you're a big follower of United States Mint products, you know that they have released several different things that are kind of similar to this. But I felt like this was kind of the beginning of something. So I went ahead and added it to my cart, and I went ahead and clicked on the submit button, and sure enough, I got notification that my order had been received. Now, I watched these sales throughout the rest of the day, and I want to say, and if you were watching these also, you can correct me, I want to say that by the end of the day, or within several hours, they had sold out. The United States Mint had sold out of their 100,000 limit. If it wasn't that day, then it was maybe the day afterwards. So when you see something sell out pretty quickly, that's a good indication that there is demand for it. Now, I believe the Mint put a 1 per household limit on it, and there are lots of ways that you can get around this. There are big buyers who make markets in pieces that are released by the United States Mint, and often they will kind of tell people ahead of time, if you go ahead and buy this and the price of it's $105, I'll pay you $130 if you don't open it, or $150. And that's an indication that these big buyers know that something is up. There is a spirit out there that people are interested in this piece, or they feel like there's going to be enough interest to generate that they'll try to sell it ahead of time. And you can often see people selling things on eBay that don't even exist anymore, and other venues, with the hope that they'll be able to buy it on the open market and then sell it at a profit. This is an incredibly risky thing to do, and it's something that eBay used to really crack down on, but I think that there's ways to get around that too. So here I am. I went ahead and put an order through. It's not really the kind of thing I would do. Maybe there's a part of me that wanted to do a video about this, because I have found myself buying the brand new Morgan and Peace dollar commemoratives that have come out recently, because I did buy the flowing hair dollar. In fact, I bought 2 of them. One of them remains unopened. Of course, that's the one that has the privy mark on it, right? Schrodinger's flowing hair. I figured, why not? Let me go ahead and put one of these in the box. Maybe it'll be a home run. Maybe this is going to be something that there's demand for. And then I started seeing conversations shortly after this that people were able to walk through that 3, 4, 5 days later, walk through the United States Mint process and buy these now. In other words, somehow some other store of these had gotten released through the United States Mint, And the best explanation that I heard about why this had happened is that a bunch of people had ordered more than the household limit, and the United States Mint had found out about that and canceled those orders. There's always the possibility that people's credit cards bounced or that their payment method wasn't correct, they didn't add the right information, whatever it was. So somehow more of these became released, and that spread out through the internet pretty quickly. And I think that new allotment of these dried up pretty fast too. So kind of a good sign when something sells out pretty quickly, though, like I said, 100,000 mintage compared to somewhere around 50,000 mintage for the flowing hair. So let's take a look at this. Let's just see what this looks like. I'm anxious to see this. I've seen some images online. I'm going to go ahead and cut into it here. Why not, right? You can see me cutting into it. I have not opened this yet. I haven't seen it. All right, we've got the typical mint packaging. I'm not going to bore you with that. But here's the outer box. Now, that's pretty attractive. I do have quite a few American Silver Eagle proofs, some of the early ones. And while the clamshells may be a little bit more dramatic, we'll see if the inner boxes are as nice as this. This is actually pretty nice, wouldn't you agree? That's a pretty nice looking outer sleeve, at least. There's nothing that's amazingly interesting about it, but it's pretty well done. I am one of those people that actually thinks the United States Mint seems to do a pretty good job when they actually get rolling. So there's the outer box, or outer sleeve, I guess you would call it. Here is the inner box. And that's undoubtedly the COA, right? This is all the paper information, the certificate about it. I'll just take a really quick look at it here, having to see it through the eyes of my camera so you guys can watch it with me. But there you go. So, you know, the information that you would expect to see on this, and there's the purity and everything else. It's interesting that these pieces all share kind of a similar style to the regular Silver Eagles. And there's the inner box. Let's go ahead and take that clamshell out. So now we're building up quite a mix of interesting things to go along with this. If you've never seen a proof Silver Eagle, this is kind of typical, but this is obviously a little bit more oriented towards the Army, right? And there it is. So this is the United States Mint Silver Eagle, and that is the privy mark. Hopefully you can see that okay. So it is an interesting privy mark. This is obviously a West Point piece as well. Other than that, it looks like a 2025 Silver Eagle. Interesting to see the back of it because so many of my Silver Eagles are the heraldic back rather than this new style back. That is very attractive, I think, when you see the W Mint mark there. And you can see just how beautiful the black and white cameo is on this piece. Beautiful. So what do you think? Is this something that you're going to pursue? Is the 100,000 mintage good for you? Is that too high for you? Is this something that you have already purchased? If you have not purchased, is this something that you're going to put on your wish list? Is this something that's important to you or somebody else in your family? Let me know your comments down below. Let me know what you think about this piece. Like I said, I don't normally buy proof Eagles from the United States Mint. I do have a few of them before that I've had before for actually quite a while. The interesting thing about this is that the Mint seems to be headed down this path of privy marks. I think they recognize which side their bread is buttered on, and this is something that's going to drive demand. And sure enough, here I am, somebody that doesn't normally buy this type of material from the United States Mint, and yet here I am having bought it. I will add that there was shipping added to this, so the actual price out the door was $110.95. It's pretty, right? That is pretty, and if you are in the Army now, if somebody important in your family was in the Army, if you served, thank you, as always, for your service. It's something different, and I have to admit that a privy mark like this is just a little bit more interesting, wouldn't you say? Compared to some of the other privy marks we've seen, like on the flowing hair piece with just the 230th mark on it. I think this is really something that's kind of cool. If you have a question about this piece, let me know. If you did order this piece, let me know. If you haven't ordered this piece, if you refuse to order a piece like this, because of the recent controversies with the United States Mint. Let me know. Leave a comment down below. Let's take the temperature of the room. Let's see what other collectors and stackers are doing. I'd love to hear your comments about this. Do you equate it with the flowing hair, or do you see it relating to something else that's out there already, or do you kind of feel excited by this new path that the US Mint is taking? Leave a comment down below. And again, I will leave links to the flowing hair controversy videos that I've done, 4 or 5 of those videos, I believe, over the last year. If you haven't seen those, it is kind of an interesting journey, I think, especially the gold flowing hair pieces, those in particular. If you have suggestions of other videos you'd like to see me make, by all means leave that comment down below, and there's a possibility I will make a video specifically about your question. We call that the subscriber question and answer video series. If you haven't yet subscribed, click on the subscription button. Typically for my videos, I air a brand new full-length video on Friday evenings, and I'm there doing the premiere to answer your questions, to talk with you as this video is being premiered for the first time. And we often go live immediately after those premieres in a live stream that is kind of an open floor. As long as we're talking about coins and precious metals, it's an open floor, a chance to go into a deeper dive about what we've just premiered. Also a chance to talk with other people in the community. It's usually pretty fast-paced and exciting. I love those live streams on Friday evenings. It's a fantastic way to start that weekend. Hope you'll join me. Click on the notification button and you'll see the next time those come up. I end my videos by saying, always be learning. And thank you for allowing me to be a part of your journey as we go deeper into the world of coins and physical precious metals.